Talk about how to do it in Pixlr. We'll use Pixlr for this demo because it's a free online paint program, but you can of course use Photoshop or GIMP as well. They're all pretty much the same these days. Now the trick is in noticing that when you click the move tool, you can of course move layers in your image. So you can see I've drawn this picture of a little beaver. This is my application's mascot, and he's on his own layer here in Pixlr. So by dragging him around with my mouse, we can move him across the screen. And so obviously in this fashion, we can create some rudimentary animation. This is exactly how I created the window blocker demo clip that we played previously. But let's briefly make an intro animation video for our example clip. If you remember our storyboard, I have this red arrow here on top, indicating that I'd like the logo to swoop in. So for this demonstration, let's just create a simple animation to make this happen. You can see I've just set up a white background and I have a layer created for my mascot and a layer for my window blocker text. And so now I'm just going to pull up my screen recorder and I'm going to type in a width and a height from our list of acceptable values. Recall again, when we record our screen, we have to use a 16:9 aspect ratio if we want to avoid getting letterboxed, getting these black bars on our movie when we post to YouTube. So because this is just a small animation for the homepage, I'm going to use the smallest size, 640 by 360. This is YouTube's default size, and this is the size that my WordPress theme uses at windowblocker.com. Now I'm just going to position my recording box in the middle of the white area and press record. And now I drag in my mascot and I drag in my app name, and that's it. That's about as simple as animation gets. All I'm doing is moving layers around, and this is exactly how I created the entirety of the original window blocker demo video, just by filming myself moving layers and turning layers off and on in my paint program. Now let's talk about another way to make motion video. So another common production style in marketing presentation videos is the chalkboard or the digital whiteboard animation. In other words, it's basically a video of someone drawing on their screen while they talk. Now, one of the most common questions I get coming into my websites has nothing to do with the website itself. It's just the question, how did you make your chalkboard movies? I get this question again and again and again, and the answer is so simple. I found a picture of a chalkboard and then I filmed myself drawing on it. That's it. It's easy. So how do you do this? Well, here's my chalkboard image. It's just a simple JPEG image. There's nothing else interesting about it. And then you simply open up the JPEG in the paint program of your choice. So let's start it up in Pixlr and create a new layer, and we'll call it white chalk. And then I'll just select the color white and then select the paintbrush tool and choose one of the smaller brush styles here. And then we just start drawing. So if you recall our storyboard, I wanted to animate a question mark here on the right. So let's go ahead and bring in some clip art of a frustrated student. And let's set up our screen recorder again, and I'm going to consult our chart. And as always, I want to make sure that I'm using a height and width with a 16:9 aspect ratio. We're using 640 by 360 again for this one. And so now I simply press record and carefully draw a question mark. That's how you'd film yourself if you want to give a chalkboard presentation. Now, as you probably know, there are many other ways to do it. There are lots of ways to draw on your screen. If you want an even simpler surface, you can try awapp.com. That's a pretty nice little whiteboard. But the principle is always the same. Set your recorder to one of the sizes on our list, and then just start drawing with your mouse. So let's talk about recording your app or your software screenshots or recording any sort of event happening on your screen. Now, we'll start off by discussing how I created the video content on my Keyword Organizer homepage. So Keyword Organizer is a pretty big and complex database application, and so it's a good example to use. Like I mentioned, ultimately video is so great because you can explain complicated topics with images and sound in a comprehensive way. It would be very difficult for me to explain how Keyword Organizer works just using text. I don't even know where I would begin. So that's one of the reasons I love YouTube and I love internet videos so much. If you are into internet marketing or if you run any sort of website at all, then it's really, really, really in your interest to develop this video skill set because it's just so valuable in conveying information in this day and age. So if you go to the keywordorganizer.org homepage, you'll notice that the videos are nice and big and clear, and each one features a full-size screenshot of me using the Keyword Organizer software itself. So it's really annoying when you go to someone's website and you want to learn about their product and they have this little tiny video on their webpage, which is often hard to even find. But if you do find it, it often plays in a very small video player. And sometimes I can't even make out what's going on or what this person is trying to teach me. So, okay, how did I get the videos on my website to be nice and big and clear? First off, when I created my videos for Keyword Organizer, I recorded my screen using one of the sizes on our list. Here it is again. I used A54 by 480, it's 480p. So let's look at the whole process. So first I set my screen recorder, in this case I was using Camtasia, to A54 by 480. Then I set up my Keyword Organizer software so that it fits precisely in this A54 by 480 rectangle. Next, I record myself using the software, and when my movie and audio are ready, I upload them to YouTube. Okay, that's pretty easy so far, but here is the ridiculous tricky part. Once your video is live at youtube.com, you have to embed this video onto your website. So how do you do that? Now you can use YouTube's little embed code generator. Chances are, if you're watching this video course, then you've probably done a YouTube embed before. If you're not familiar with the embed panel, it's just this little widget that allows you to create video embed code for placement on your website. But there is just one problem with YouTube's embed code generator, and the problem is this: it totally sucks. I don't know why they built such a sucky embed widget, but they did. The problem is it only gives you minimal control over your video. Now, this is aside from the fact that their video player is ugly, and this is aside from the fact that they make you use horrible looking thumbnail images. Those reasons are bad too. But the bigger problem is this: there is no easy way to specify that you'd like to use 480p playback in the regular YouTube embed code. So if you were to try to actually put your video on your website using YouTube's default method here, then it wouldn't look very good because they're not letting you specify the quality setting. Notice in their code generator, there is no switch or dial, or I can tell them that I'd like to display my video at a quality level of 480p. I can change the dimensions of the player, that's good, but I can't specify the playback quality. Now, my hope is that they'll fix this someday. I hope they'll eventually add some sort of little button here, but as of now, you can't specify a quality level. So upon realizing that, what did I do? I had to learn how to use the YouTube API, and I had to write my own WordPress plugin, the Clever YouTube plugin. So fortunately, YouTube built a great API. If you don't know what an API is, it stands for Application Programming Interface. It's basically a set of functions that allow your website to talk to their website, youtube.com. So fortunately, YouTube will let you specify the video quality if you use their API. But of course, only nerds know how to use the API, and as fate would have it, I'm a nerd, and that's why I made my own plugin, because I was able to simplify this whole ridiculous process into just one button. You can see it here in the screenshot. This is the Clever YouTube plugin settings page, and there's a little box here where you can specify your video playback quality. You can see me selecting 480p here. This is the little trick that you can't do at YouTube if you use their default embed code. Now, let's get back to the initial question. How did I get these big videos on my website? So I set my screen recorder to 854 by 480, 480p. I recorded myself using my app, Keyword Organizer, at 854 by 480, 480p. I uploaded my movie file to YouTube at 854 by 480, 480p. And I had to write my own plugin to display the movie on my website at 854 by 480, 480p. So obviously this whole process is about recording, creating, rendering, and displaying your video, keeping your target output in mind, 480p. Now you might ask, why did I choose this size? Why not go bigger or smaller? So recall from our list, we typically want to record at one of these three sizes. I chose 480p for keywordorganizer.org. Why didn't I choose 720p? Well, because 720p videos are just too big and don't typically fit on a website anyway. You can see here.